Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'm your host. Today is the 13th of June, year 2024. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the triggers to the upcoming lunar eclipse. Eclipses can be triggered months before they occur and months after they occur. And when an eclipse, which is a super big full moon or new moon, solar eclipse, new moon, lunar eclipse, full moon, they're like this huge cauldron, this pot being stirred. So it's beneficial to pay attention to events that occur right around the time when these eclipses are being triggered, before they happen or right after they happen, because often events that happen during these times, like the next few days, they will be tied in some form or fashion to future events when the eclipse actually occurs. We could look at it as a first act, second act, third act, sometimes even a fourth act event. Eclipses can be triggered years after they have actually occurred. They're not static in their waves that they create. Think of it as a stone being thrown across a pebble, thrown across a lake, and how those rippled effects continue like domino effects. So this eclipse that's coming up is a lunar eclipse at 25 degrees in Pisces. It is 25 degrees Pisces and 40 minutes arc, so we could round it off to 26 degrees Pisces. It will happen on September 17th of this year. And today, Venus is at 25, already moved into 26 degrees of Gemini. So Venus is triggering it. And in a day and a half, the Sun will be at 25 Gemini, and then Mercury follows, because right now the Sun and Mercury are both at 23 degrees Gemini. Too many numbers, I know. All you need to know is Mercury, the Sun, and Venus, all in Gemini right now, are activating a future lunar eclipse, which will occur in September. That eclipse is in Pisces, and so it's a good idea to pay particular attention to elements tied to both the Piscean energy, which I will discuss, and Gemini energy. Now, since it's a square, it stimulates. So this could mean that you're working on something and you reach a block. Perhaps you don't have all the information being Gemini, or new information that you get in the next few days colors an event that is tied to the future. I will give you an example. So this full moon in Pisces is very much, full moons always shed light on something. Piscean energy deals with our imagination, our subconscious. Piscean energy rules actors, yoga, dance. It rules our lymphatic system, our feet. It also, I give it jurisdiction over viruses, especially Neptune. Some people say Pluto. I think it's Neptune. Pisces rules Neptune. So we have to bring that into the equation. It's interesting right now that in the news is a new bird flu. And therefore, since Venus, the Sun, and Mercury all will be triggering this upcoming lunar eclipse, Gemini deals with information, news, that there it is in the public's eye. Got to be careful about this. Be aware of it. Knowledge is power. But the best knowledge at this point is the knowledge to keep your immune system strong. Now, the issues of the Gemini questioning to get clarity on anything that you need will be prominent. In other words, this is a time, if you are not clear on things dealing in your personal, professional life, it's a great time to ask questions, to be flexible. If you are in a period of healing, it's important to pay extra attention to how your body responds to medication. Events and circumstances are in an active state during June 13th through the 17th of being pondered on a deeper level. Did I make the correct choice? The new information that comes out, is this the correct information? I'm encouraging you to carry on with many conversations, listening to several sides of the story before you come to any conclusion. Because right now, a lunar eclipse being triggered indicates that you may discover later what you were told today is not all of the story. So you can go around this or be proactive or several steps in front of the game if you are inquisitive, if you don't trust, or shall I say, be satisfied with the answers that you get in regards to your questions. Keep asking questions. Because with this kind of activation, I feel that the story will change. So be flexible, listen to all, have a willingness to learn, and stick to practical concerns now. Those few guidelines will help you later. Be careful of drugs, alcohol, any foods that you're allergic to. Now, on the positive side, this activation of this lunar eclipse that's going to happen in September can activate your imagination. We know that can be a great thing, and it also can be somewhat of a dangerous thing if you have a active imagination that goes to the most negative scenario. That can harm you and not keeping your mind well balanced. And Piscean energy in general tends to not have proper boundaries. So you want to make sure you have proper boundaries. In the imagination, this is a time in which you should ask, does form follow function? Is it practical? Can my great creation tell a cohesive story? Is the building that I just built got a door that opens? Oh, it may look fantastic, but hey, if that door can't open, it's not following function. Form is not following function. And you want to use that recipe right now. Bird flu will probably be hyped because there's a certain sensitivity around all of these issues now. The health of our nation here in North America, USA, is going to be on the front plate. Our workers, service workers, nurses, anybody that works in public health, those institutions are going to be looked at very strongly this week with a lot of questions. Some of those questions may have to do with past behavior. What have we learned from the last pandemic, and what can we learn for the future? The second week in July, Mars will be in Gemini, specifically the 7th through the 15th. And Mars will definitely be activating that future lunar eclipse of September 17th. Again, it will be pertaining to information. Is the information correct? What did we get right? And where do we need to improve? Where you have 23 to 27 degrees of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces in your chart is the area that you need to focus on. So pull out your chart, or you can go online and get a free chart. Just Google it. Look to see if 23 degrees to 27 degrees of any of those mutable signs is a planet or point in your chart. If it's not, what houses do those degrees fall in? That will tell you the area that will be subjected to any confusion or a greater need of clarification, or even options you might have. If you're thinking of going to school, taking courses, what options do I have? Right now, compassion is your best friend for yourself and for your fellow human beings, because as we all know, the world is really strange. If you eat fish, I'd be extra selective in finding out the source of my fish. And if you're a meat eater, do the same. Water is going to be in the news. It already is in the news. Florida is underwater. So there'll be questions. How can we deal with this catastrophe? What kind of drainage system can we create that can handle enormous volumes of water? Today we actually have a quarter moon. The sun in Gemini is squaring the moon. That's also in a mutable sign, Virgo. This is specifically for my patrons who will get this podcast right when it's finished, which will go out today. If you'd like to get these podcasts right when they are produced, because they are time-based science, become a patron at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. That quarter moon between the sun in Gemini and the moon in Virgo again states what is the answer, the practical answer to the questions that I currently have. How many options do I have in any situation that I am working through blocks with? And I would suggest that if you err on the side of perfecting the practical. Eat less for the next few days. Because when you eat less, when you eat lighter, you lessen the pressure on your organs. You give them a bit of a rest. And with these tense aspects, especially a quarter moon in Virgo, Virgo deals with our intestines. So this would be a time, with all this information that I've just given you, it would be better to eat lighter, be more picky about the food that enters your body. Do not eat old food. Even if it's a day old, throw it out. If there's any question in your mind of if it's good or not, throw it out. The next few days, food could appear to be okay, but with this lunar eclipse coming up, dealing in a sign which, without a doubt, would have an umbrella over food poisoning, much better, if you are unsure, to let it go. The health of small animals will be in focus. It wouldn't be uncommon to see a dog food recall or cat food recall. We see them so often now, but especially since this lunar eclipse is being triggered, I'd say this would be a time to pay attention to those factors if you have animals. And also pay especially attention to your mental health. What helps you stay relaxed? What gives you a sense of peace? Those are the things that you should be incorporating into your life, especially this week. Waterborne illnesses can be a problem, and that's why I'm putting a big emphasis on being picky and knowing the source of your food and knowing the source of where you get water. And especially when floods happen, then people do not have access to clean water, so they have to be extra careful. The countries that are triggered by this upcoming eclipse and within this few days: Mexico, Israel, France, Egypt, Australia with their laws and something dealing with immigration, the USA with their military, questions probably about how much support and when. That's where we always come in. Trump's chart is super activated by this because he was born on an eclipse, and the placement of his sun and moon is activated by this quarter moon and by the lunar eclipse that happens in September. The United Nations is activated by this triggering of the upcoming lunar eclipse, and it's the moon in the United Nations chart, so food is going to be on their top agenda, and probably it's food to Gaza because people are starving there. Make sure your plumbing is up to the standard that you wish it to be, both in the house you live in and in your body. And I would like to send out a thank you shout out to Tri-City Hospital, because last week I had emergency surgery in ER and they were awesome. So if you are in the northern San Diego district and you need emergency care, they certainly took care of me. A+ to everybody. A+ to our nurses, our doctors, our staff, the people that take care of us when we can't take care of ourselves. And last but not least, I want to encourage you to visualize your dreams. If there's blocks preventing your wildest dreams from manifesting, in your mind's eye, see those blocks cleared. Allow Divine to send you the ideas and the answers that you need to make your dreams come true. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. If you want to become a patron, like I said before, Parker McP on patreon.com. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust, so go shine.